What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for April 18th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast. We made it through another work week. I was off this week, but it felt like a marathon. I had sick kids, all kinds of craziness going on, but we made it to a Feel Good Friday. Happy Good Friday to everyone out there who celebrates. Let's do some quick housekeeping because we got a big show today. First, be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont, and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Remember, all my social media, including my Facebook, as well as my LinkedIn, I show highlights, newspaper clips, photos, different things from the events we talk about, just to give you a little bit more of a visual. Trying something different today with our Fridays with AI. Hopefully, don't tell anybody. Hopefully, YouTube allows it to happen. I'm experimenting. So all of a sudden, if the YouTube channel goes black, it's because they didn't allow what I attempted to do to happen. So fingers crossed that happens. I'll keep you posted tomorrow, depending on how it goes. Quick reminder, too, that starting Monday, we're going to start our NFL Eagles draft spotlight, where we're going to spotlight the best picks from every round in the NFL draft for the Eagles. We have supplemental, undrafted, 8th rounder on, and then 1 through 7 as we prepare for next week's NFL draft. Today is Friday. That means it's Fridays with AI, so stay tuned for that later in the show. But let's get right into it and start with a recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, after that brutal game against the Giants on Wednesday night, is it time to start panicking about the Phillies? Luckily, I'm glad I put it out there because you guys helped talk me off the ledge. 75% of you said, no, it's not time to panic yet. However, there were a lot of caveats involved in there, and I don't necessarily disagree, but you're right. It's 19 games into the season. It's early. Alec Boehm actually starting to come around slightly and slowly. There's still some big question marks about the pitching and the bullpen, but you're right. You know what, guys? This is what we do here. Accountability. I tell you all the time about having that new Philly mindset. I needed to be reminded. So thank you for holding me accountable and participating in the question of the day. 75% of you said it's not time to panic. And then the game comes out yesterday, and a good, solid bounce-back win by the Phillies. They jumped on them early. Christopher Sanchez was absolutely lights out, set a career high in strikeouts with 12 over the course of 7 innings. Boehm starting to hit out of his slump. Kind of got unlucky. That should have been a home run, which would have been nice considering I took Boehm as an anytime home run. His odds are ridiculous, and DraftKings right now is having the risk-free. So I've been betting it nonstop. I'm probably down money on Boehm, but what are you going to do? But like I said, overall, good bounce-back win for them. And then going back to the question of the day yesterday, maybe we're being a little bit overreactionary to this team because of how big the stakes are and how much of a sense of urgency, and it's almost like do or die. Because honestly, splitting with the Giants, the way the Giants have played this year, isn't necessarily a bad thing. They were 11-4 coming into this series with the Phillies, so maybe we're being a little bit old Philly-ish when it comes to this, but again, I think a lot of it stems from just being there's so much at stake for this team, and just they need to, it's basically do or die. But it got a good one today down at the ballpark. We got tickets going down today, so maybe I'll be posting on Twitter for that. But it's Zach Wheeler versus Sandy Alcantara, or Alcantara, however the hell you say his name. I think it's Alcantara, though. So good one against the Marlins. Maybe this is what the Phillies need, a nice little weekend series at home versus the Marlins to get back on track. Flyers finish up the season with a 5-4 loss to the Buffalo Sabres. And if there is such a thing as a good loss, this was it. Matvei Michkov had 2 goals, ending the season with 26 to lead all rookies. Probably won't win the Rookie of the Year, though, thanks to John Tortorella. Just imagine if he had played him the way he should have, how many goals he would have had. But the Flyers season is officially over. They did clinch the 4th spot in the NHL lottery, which there's not a date set for that. It just said sometime in May. But the way the NHL lottery works is the Flyers cannot pick any lower than 6. They have a shot. They have a 9.5% chance for the first pick, and I think it's like 80% they're going to get a top 5 pick. So good draft positioning for the Flyers. They also have the 24th and 25th pick in the first round. So 3 of the top 25 players in this draft are coming to Philadelphia. And like we've been doing, now that the season is officially over, and if I see this in a certain Philly-based site, then I know you're listening, which it's fine. Take my stuff. Just shout me out. That's all I ask. I don't ask for much. You can steal my ideas all you want. Just credit me where they came from. All right? Philly voice. Anyway, so the Tankathon for today for the Flyers, they did move up to the 5th spot, or move down to the 5th spot, which again, a top 5 pick will take. So we'll continue to do the Tankathon to give us something to root for the Flyers and Sixers in their offseason. And then speaking of the Sixers, for the first time in 5 tries, they dropped down to the 7th pick, losing it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. That would be the absolute worst case scenario, because then it's up to Elton Brand and Daryl Morey. And as we've talked about, nobody trusts them to make those kinds of decisions. Be sure to check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Lots of great things happening with their sports fan network. Go to clashingconferences.com to see what they have to offer, how you can get involved. And then also check out their podcasts on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Some great things happening. Very interesting, good banter, good talk. So go check them out, clashingconferences.com. And then Philly Goat, I've been talking all week about this. Jordan Spector, if you're not familiar, go to Philly Goat's site. Look at some of his artwork. It's incredible. It's a good piece for a man cave, an office, a garage, whatever you got going on. Also makes a great birthday and Father's Day gift. Many different sizes to choose from. But his artwork is second to none. Philly sports based. So go to phillygoat.com, check out the Jordan Spector collection, and then be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com, promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today, it's a big day. We're going to go back to 1987. And truthfully, today, talking about 2 of my all-time favorite athletes as a kid. And first, we're going to start 1987. Today, the Phillies beat the Pirates 8-6 out in Pittsburgh. After blowing a 5-run lead, they gave up 4 runs in the bottom of the 8th inning to the Pirates. Just shows how bad these Phillies teams were. But top of the 9th, Juan Samuel hit a single. Von Hayes walked, and up stepped Mike Schmidt with 2 outs, 2 on, 3-0 count, and as Harry Callis said, swinging a long drive. There it is, number 500, the career 500th home run for Michael Jack Schmidt. Yes, on this day, 1987, Mike Schmidt hit his 500th career home run off of Don Robinson. And what many people don't remember about that home run, it was in the top of the 9th. It was clutch. It was the game winner for the Phils that day. Mike Schmidt ended his career with 548 home runs. I remember as a kid playing wiffle ball and even slightly into Little League until I got corrected, mimicking Mike Schmidt's stance, standing straight up, kind of elbows down, swaying a little bit. And then his iconic run after that when he was jubilant that he hit his 500th home run. He was 7th on the all-time list when he retired. Currently is 16th, but is 100% the GOAT, in my opinion. Greatest third baseman to ever play the game. I don't think the Phillies will ever see a player that stays that long with his career with the Phillies in order to be considered that. So Mike Schmidt on this day hit his 500th home run back in 1987, a game winner in the top of the ninth off of Don Robinson in the old Three Rivers Stadium. Harry Kalas with the iconic call. You gotta love it. Mike Schmidt today hit his 500th career home run back in 1987. But that does lead to today's question of the day. Mike Schmidt is a clutch hitter. 10 career walk-off home runs. Obviously, everybody says, oh, well, he did this, he did that, but his 500th was a game winner. So my question to you, the Phillies have had a lot of clutch home run hitters over the course of their history. Who is the greatest clutch hitter in Phillies, home run hitter in Phillies history? Is it Schmitty? Is it Ryan Howard? Is it Chase Utley? Is it Bryce Harper? I think you got to narrow it down to those four guys. Who's the biggest clutch home run hitter in Phillies history? You could even throw Jason Worth in there if you want, but I think based on sheer volume, you got to put like Howard, Utley, Harper, and Schmitty in there. So that is today's question of the day, 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. But who's the biggest clutch home run hitter in Phillies history? I'm going Mike Schmidt, obviously. Although I thought Ryan Howard was very clutch. People used to bitch and complain all the time, and this is where Friday's shows go off the rails because now I'm going to go on a Ryan Howard rant. But people used to say, oh, he doesn't strike out. He doesn't do this. There was a point in time between 2007 and 2010 where the guy you wanted at the plate was Ryan Howard. Remember the whole get me to the plate boys and this, that, and the other. Ryan Howard was a clutch hitter. Did he strike out too much? Yes. Did he strike out too much by today's standards? Absolutely not. He was just ahead of the curve. And imagine if he had to hit today where you couldn't do the shift, he'd be even better. So just a little Ryan Howard plug there on a feel-good Friday. All right, let's go into our missing ring spotlight. And from one of my all-time favorites to the other, today we're going to spotlight Randall Cunningham. Randall was with the Eagles from 85 to 95. He finished his career top 3 in yards, touchdowns, attempts, and completions in Eagles history. He's number 6 in the rushing yards as well as rushing touchdowns. Completely revolutionized the game. And you think about Randall Cunningham's game, and we used to always complain just about how he's not the prototypical quarterback, and there's a lot of other racial connotations. When I was growing up as a kid, you heard it all the time about him being a black quarterback. But he was ahead of his time, didn't really receive much coaching. Buddy Ryan couldn't give two shits about the offense. He would tell Randall, go out there and make 5 plays, the defense will win the game. And for the most part, defense went out there and Randall made the plays, defense won the game. But Randall, unfortunately, did come up small, and I think a lot of this goes back to the coaching that he never received. He came up small in some playoff games early in his career. With the Eagles, the only playoff game he won was that 92 wild card game down in New Orleans, where it was sort of like street ball. They got down early, and he just was going out there making plays, and that's when Randall was absolutely at his best. Now, we talked about the best chances for Randall, and for him, probably his best chance was 1988 because he was playing in the playoff game, threw for 400 yards in the fog in Chicago, but nobody did anything once the fog rolled in. And I still, to this day, like I mentioned earlier in the week, they would have gone out to San Francisco, won the game, and then beat Cincinnati in the Super Bowl. But that 91 team, and we talked about it with the defense the other day, if he didn't get hurt, man, that defense was to me, the greatest defense that ever played in the NFL. And imagine if they had a competent quarterback, let alone a Randall Cunningham at quarterback. And after that knee injury, he never really recovered in Philly because one of the coaching, the direction of the team, Jeffrey Lurie had taken over, and it was sort of like a feeling out process and everything. Once he got to Minnesota, had some coaching. You saw what he did with Chris Carter and Randy Moss, and that 1998 season was very, very special for Randall Cunningham. But in Philly, my all-time favorite. He was maybe a little immature, and again, part of that probably stemmed from not really having much of a coaching sort of background. You had a defensive guy who couldn't care less about the offense. Just don't screw it up for the defense. And I think that's what held Randall back. But Randall Cunningham is today's missing rings spotlight.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It's time for Fridays with AI. All right, today, decided to stick with the Randall Cunningham thing. We talked about this team twice this week, so I figured let's take a deep dive into that 1991 team and what would have happened if Randall Cunningham did not tear his ACL in the first game of the season against the Green Bay Packers. Here's the deep dive.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're tackling a really interesting what-if scenario.
Oh, yeah. What's on the docket?
What if Randall Cunningham, the Eagles quarterback, what if he didn't get that knee injury back in 91?
Ah, okay. That week 1 injury. Yeah, that's a big one.
Exactly. We've got some notes here laying out this alternate reality, and our mission basically is to figure out the ripple effects, for the Eagles, the league, Cunningham himself.
Right. It's fascinating, isn't it, how one single moment, one injury avoided could just branch off into a whole different history.
Totally. It's not just about him. It's like the whole NFL landscape potentially shifting.
So let's start there. 1991, he stays healthy. What happens?
Well, according to this, the Eagles have a killer season. We're talking 13-3.
Okay, dominant.
They win the NFC Championship. Cunningham gets the MVP award.
Wow, MVP.
And here's the kicker. They win the Super Bowl. Their first ever against the Bills.
Against Buffalo. So Philly finally gets the Lombardi. That's huge. What would that do for the team, for the city?
I mean, the momentum must have been incredible. Right?
Oh, absolutely. A championship validates everything. The fans, the organization. It would just ignite Philly. Sets a totally different foundation.
And this scenario suggests that wasn't just a one-off. It kicks off kind of like a dynasty run from 92 to 95.
Multiple Super Bowls.
Yep, multiple wins. The Eagles become the team in the NFC, maybe the league.
And Cunningham's right at the heart of that, I assume. His style of play was already revolutionary.
For sure. And they mentioned his partnership with Herman Moore becoming, legendary. That connection fueled the offense.
You can see that. Cunningham's mobility buying time, Moore getting deep. That would be electric to watch consistently. And winning changes reputations, doesn't it?
Definitely elevates both of them. Maybe they're talked about at all-time greats much sooner.
Okay, so what happens next? Players age, things change. Does he stay in Philly?
So this is interesting. Late 90s, 96 to 98. Instead of bouncing around, he actually stays with the Eagles. Andy Reid comes in as coach.
Reid arrives, okay. And Cunningham fits his system.
Apparently, yeah. They shift to more of a pass-heavy offense, and Cunningham has this, late career resurgence. Terrell Owens is even mentioned as a teammate.
T.O. and Cunningham, wow.
And get this. By 98, he's leading the league in passer rating as a mobile quarterback well into his 30s.
That really challenges the old narrative, doesn't it? That mobile guys can't last or be elite passers deep into their careers.
Right. It suggests maybe longevity is possible if the system is right.
Which probably has downstream effects on the rest of the league, too.
Exactly. That leads us to 99. Because Cunningham is still playing at such a high level and winning, teams start actively looking for dual-threat QBs much earlier.
So the adoption curve speeds up. Guys like Steve McNair or Dante Culpepper, maybe their careers take off even faster.
That's the idea. Cunningham becomes the established archetype, the proof of concept, paving the way more directly for, Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson later on.
So draft strategies change, offensive playbooks evolve more quickly. It fundamentally shifts how you build a team around the quarterback position.
Then comes maybe the biggest bombshell in this timeline. 2001, Super Bowl 36.
Okay. Who's playing?
It's the veteran Randall Cunningham and the Eagles against a very young Tom Brady and the Patriots.
No way. Brady versus Cunningham.
And in this alternate reality, Cunningham wins his 4th Super Bowl ring.
Wow. 4 rings for Cunningham, and Brady loses his first Super Bowl appearance.
Yep. It means the Patriots dynasty, well, it gets delayed, at least. Maybe significantly altered. That one game changes so much NFL history.
The butterfly effect there is just enormous. Coaching legacies, team trajectories, AFC power balance. all potentially different.
So Cunningham plays a couple more years and retires in 2003. What does his final resume look like in this world?
Well, based on this, he's got to be the NFL's all-time leader in quarterback rushing yards easily.
Plus multiple MVPs, those 4 Super Bowls.
First ballot Hall of Famer, no question. Probably 2008 induction, just like in reality, but the plaque looks very different.
And the notes mention the impact in Philly, too. Huge surge in season ticket renewals over the years. The Link, or the Vet, becomes maybe the toughest place to play in the league.
That makes sense. Sustained winning like that. It creates a whole culture and identity, deepens that fan loyalty, builds that intense home field advantage.
Absolutely. Top 5 QB rushing, multiple 3,000-yard passing seasons, even late in his career. It just cements his legacy.
So the big takeaway really is how fragile history can be, I suppose. One player avoids one injury.
And it rewrites everything. A Philly dynasty, the evolution of the QB position accelerated, even the launch of other dynasties potentially pushed back. It's wild.
It really underscores the what-ifs that are just baked into sports history. So many turning points.
It does make you think, doesn't it? And maybe that's the thought to leave folks with. What other key injuries in any sport might have sent history down a completely different path? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about.
Well, thanks for exploring this alternate timeline with us on the Deep Dive.
Amazing. And honestly, I will say this is another one of those ones where I think might have really come to fruition, because I feel like Randall was poised to step out. And I go back all the time to the Rich Kotite era and how everybody, yes, he was a terrible head coach, but he was the offensive mind that really started to shift Randall in that 1990 season. He had an MVP caliber season that year and was poised to take that next step in 1991, really getting involved. And yes, Randall blames Kotite for the knee injury, trying to make him a pocket passer. But I truly feel if that Bryce Pop hit did not occur, we were in for a special season. I tell my story all the time when I met Reggie, where I got him over my shoulder with the autograph, and Jerome. And right before Jerome died, he said, man, 91 was our season, but look out. We got a healthy number 12 coming back. And he was ready for that 92 season. Unfortunately, he passed away. But I really do think that 91 season could have been truly, truly special. The fact that in this alternate reality, they drafted Herman Moore and then went right from Herman Moore to Terrell Owens is incredible. I like the idea of bringing the Broad Street Bullies back, because this alternate reality talked a lot about the progression of Randall Cunningham. But like in the notes and everything from AI that I talked about, it just talked about building that culture of a dominant defense. And really, like, they went from one guy to the next, did well drafting, replacing guys with the advent of free agency. Guys actually wanted to come to Philly to play. So the Fridays with AI is still a work in progress, but I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any ideas for Fridays with AI, send them my way. I'm always open for ideas and suggestions. But today's Fridays with AI, Randall Cunningham, what would have happened if he didn't blow out his knee against Green Bay in that first game of the season? All in honor of Randall Cunningham being our Missing Ring Spotlight. Today is like my favorite podcast ever, because it's two of my childhood heroes, Randall Cunningham and Mike Schmidt, in one episode. You can't get any better than that. On this day in 1987, Phillies beat the Pirates 8-6 when Mike Schmidt hit a ninth-inning two-run homer with 2 outs, number 500 of his career. Harry Kalas with the iconic call. Still remember being out in the backyard, playing wiffle ball, doing the Mike Schmidt little jog down to first base when I hit my dad while he was swimming in the pool with a wiffle ball. Maybe that was the run to get away from my dad throwing the ball back at me. But I digress. All right, tomorrow we'll have more on the Phillies Marlins. We'll continue our Tankathon spotlight and simulation for both the Flyers and the Sixers. Sixers finally lost that pick after 5 tries. But, hey, if there's an 80% chance that they'll take a top 5 or a top 6 pick, sign me up. I'll gladly take it. But this has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 18th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.